ladies and gentlemen, and those of any other genders, Mr. Sam Firstenberg, where are you?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, this was a wonderful quality screening, really. I didn't see such a good screening for a long time on a big screen.
So the first question that I have to ask relates to Michael Dudikoff and the rumor that has been around relating to Chuck Norris and Michael Dudikoff, because according to some rumors, Chuck Norris was supposed to be the American Ninja. But is there any truth to that?
This beyond rumors. There is advertising floating around with the advertising for American Ninja with Chuck Norris, with a picture of Chuck Norris. So the company Canon Film was trying to sell when they had this idea, and there was no script yet, only idea, American Ninja. They were trying to sell the idea to Chuck Norris to be the American Ninja, and before they got his answer, they already had advertising in the magazines of Cannes Film Festival. And this advertising with the face of Chuck Norris is floating around in the internet. You can find it. And but Chuck Norris didn't want to do it because from the rumors, I never asked him why. I met Chuck Norris. I never asked him, but he didn't want his face covered. This was not Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is Chuck Norris. You have to see him. He's not going to cover his face with only eyes. So it's true. And he didn't want to do it, and there was advertising. So that's how eventually we came to Michael Dudikoff.
And that was kind of your discovery, or a mutual decision of yours and the producers?
It was my fight. I will tell the story very quickly. It's a long story. After Chuck Norris didn't want to do the movie, we decided to do what is called open casting. So everybody can come in, not only actors that have agent and agency. And we advertised in the agencies, in the actor agencies, but also in martial arts school, in dojos. And it went all over the Los Angeles area and surrounding area. That's a big area, many people. And we had open casting. About 400 young people came to try for American Ninja. And it was a gymnasium, I remember, and they tried the movement with Mike Stone, to see if they can do it, and then they came to see me, whoever passed the test. And people came in, and some of them we liked, they read the lines. And I remember Michael Dudikoff came, this blonde James Dean is walking into the room, you know, a blonde, wonderful, handsome guy. And I was told that he's not a martial artist. Dudikoff is not a martial artist. So today he's not, at the time he was not. And I asked him, can you do action? He said, yes, I can do action. I said, where did you learn action? He said, I picked it up in the street. There is actually a line in the movie. We took the line into the movie. I picked it up in the street. Of course, he lied. He's not a street guy. He's a surfer from Southern California. By then, he was already modeling for fashion. But I knew, I had this instinct. It's something that it's hard to describe. I said, this is the guy that fits the part that we wrote in the script. I was involved in writing the script. And he's the guy who fits. He has a quality of James Dean. He has a quality of somebody with a secret behind him. He has a quality of somebody that doesn't want to talk and is a loner and quiet. And I had to fight with him because he already made few movies. He was in Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks, small part. Yeah, when you see Bachelor Party, you will see Michael Dudikoff. And he already made the movie Radioactive Dream, the director Albert Payun. But the movie did not come out yet. Radioactive Dream did not come out yet. So the company decided to pay everyone the minimum. There is a minimum payment for actors in Los Angeles, according to the union. But he didn't want, his agent said, no, he already was in movies, we want double the minimum. And the company said, no, 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 we are going to make a cheap movie, everybody will be paid the same thing, the minimum. So I went to the company, Menachem Golan is the head of Canon Film, And I started to fight for him. They said, no, either he's going to get the minimum or he's not. And I came with I shot him on video together with the lines, and we went to the company and I showed the video. I said, Menachem Golan, you must see the video. He is the guy. And at some point, even the producers who were with me, they gave up. They said, okay, let's, you know, we had the Chad McQueen, who wanted to do the son of McQueen. Mike Norris wanted to do it. And but I was fighting and fighting. Eventually, either they got tired of me or they were convinced by the video test that he's the right guy. And they said, okay, we'll pay him double. And that's how we ended up with Michael Dudikoff.
And then Mike Norris ended up in Born American by Rennie Harling.
Right. But I worked with Mike Norris later on. I made the movie Delta Force #3 with Mike Norris later. We were good friends, Mike Norris and me.
And what about Steve James?
Steve James, same thing. We were casting, we knew two things. Casting for Jackson, we knew it was a black guy. And, you know, in America it's very clear. You want a white actor, a black actor, this is very clear. So we knew this was in the script, and somebody with a good body. And among the people that I saw, there was no question, he was the best. And he was a martial artist. Steve James is a martial artist, or was a martial artist. And he just walked in with his Hercules body, and there was no question about this. It was okay. And he told me, asked him, are you a martial artist? I said, of course, I have this specific style. I don't understand styles of martial arts so good. And I'm in the tiger style or something like this. Okay, you got the part. You're Jackson. He just looked. We are lucky that later on, you don't know. It's very hard to determine in advance, but the chemistry between them later, when we started to work in the Philippines, the movie was done in the Philippines, in Manila. So when they started to work together, we discovered on the screen, we saw the chemistry, how strong the chemistry between them is, how good it's working.
So how was it to shoot it in the Philippines in the early 80s?
I will tell you, actually we were very lucky. We came to the Philippines, and the Philippines, like many other countries far away, they don't have the same level of movie making as Hollywood. But they just finished a movie with Coppola. What's the name of the movie? The Vietnam movie.
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse. They just finished Apocalypse. They shot for 8 months, 9 months. It was a movie that never ended. It went on and on when you read the books about the making of Apocalypse Now. And the crew, we got the crew, the Filipino crew that just finished Apocalypse Now. They came to us. By then they had so much experience, so they were good. Also, the Philippines is only 1 hour from Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a good tradition, wonderful tradition of martial art movies, action movies in general. So anything we didn't find in the Philippines immediately came from Hong Kong, 1 hour. Actually, the motorcycle came from, this motorcycle was completely new, the Honda Ninja motorcycle. And we brought it from Hong Kong, it came from Hong Kong. And other elements, whatever we needed, we didn't have in the Philippines, came from Hong Kong. Some of the crew came with us from Hollywood, especially the design, the production designer, the art director. You saw, he built the military camp, everything. Interesting, at the time, there were many American military bases in the Philippines, 85. Subic Bay was big. But to get the cooperation of the American military or army forces, you have to submit the script to the Pentagon, and if they approve the script, they will help you. If not, when they read the script about stealing weapons from the military, we were out. So everything you see is actually in a Filipino military base, which we had to bribe some officers to get. So it was money, money, money. But the art director, our art director, Adrian Gordon, transferred everything to look so American. And he had this also little touches that you see, like the John Wayne picture in the background and the Ronald Reagan. This is little bit touches or suggestions by the art director. So it was good. The crew was big, and because we were far away from the company, they didn't bother me. You were so far. They were over there in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, and we were all the way in the Philippines. And by then they started to get busy with Chuck Norris. And at the same time, they were shooting Invasion USA with Joe Zito, with the director Joe Zito. And so they were so busy with the Invasion USA, they didn't pay attention what we are doing. So we actually had a good crew. We had 3 different working teams. The main crew, the second team, and there was like a third team. And we shot for 9 weeks, 6 days, 9 weeks for a low budget independent movie. This is big production. Hundreds of martial artists, Filipino martial artists, and the Filipinos are good. There are many good martial artists in the Philippines, in Manila and the surrounding area. So all this, the ninja school, so-called the ninja school that you see all and the final fight, all of them are Filipino martial artists that came and helped with us. So we had good crew, good martial artists to work with us. So obviously it worked. It had a good look. I saw the movie again, and some part of it really have big look, like almost like a big A movie.
Then in the film, which I just rewatched a week ago, there's surprisingly many similarities to Top Gun, which came out a year after this one. Like the romance and all that, and the motorcycle, all that stuff. It's so was Tony Scott imitating you?
Many people said, you know, there is by the way, you reminded me something, I'll come back. There was a small part in the prison. There is a military police guy, blonde, that Tadashi Yamashita kills. This is Richard Norton, that later became a martial arts star in Australia. So Richard Norton. Okay, there is rumors. I never followed this imitation type of thing, but even in Revenge of the Ninja, there is a sequence of the Shokasugi, the ninja is crossing between 2 buildings and going through a glass window, and I was told that there is a big studio movie that was imitated shot by shot by shot by shot of this crossing the building and coming through a glass window with the roller. So maybe it was. I don't know. I cannot tell you. I did not follow this. But the movie was very successful. The American Ninja was a very successful movie. At some places, I know that in France, in Paris, it was for 2 weeks #1 in the box office, and other places #1, #2. It hit with the young audience. And when you have a successful movie, you have imitations. It's natural.
And then you ended up directing the first sequel, but not the others. What's the story behind that?
Correct. That's actually a sad story. In the tradition of the studios, of the big movies, of the big studios, the big movies, if they make a movie and it's successful, then they make a sequel, they put more money into the sequel to make it even bigger. If they make #3, they put even more money into #3 to make it even bigger. So you can see Spider-Man, every movie becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Or any other series, The Fast and the Furious. Every picture is bigger, more money. Canon was a company, I don't know, they worked in a different way. We made this American Ninja, and then we made American Ninja #2 that you will also screening in the festival. And this was already done in South Africa. And at that point, Canon Film made some kind of partnership with a company in South Africa that today is New Image Millennium. At that time, it was New Metro. It was a small company in South Africa. And they made some kind of agreement. Some money came from South Africa. And we made Ninja #2, American Ninja #3, decent budget, good-looking movie. And then they decided the whole story with the chicken with the golden eggs. They go, okay, enough, let's open the chicken and take all the golden eggs out. And they wanted big money, quick. So decided to make American Ninja #3, small budget, only with South African crew and actors. They did not even call me because they knew I'm not going to make a small little movie, 5-6 weeks with the small actors. Michael didn't want to do it. That's how David Bradley was discovered. And they made a series, and the opposite. Every sequel was smaller budget, because they said, the company, this all economic, had nothing to do with movie making. It's all money making business. The decision was the name is already out. We have the brand name, American Ninja. Let's see how cheap we can make it and still make money. So sadly enough, this is economic. It's not cinema.
Do we have questions from the audience?
Oh yes, we do.
May I ask a question? If you could choose right now, who would have been acting on the first American Ninja? Would it be Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris?
Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris?
Oh yes.
I would say Bruce Lee, definitely. Chuck Norris is an interesting phenomenon in cinema. It's like Schwarzenegger. It's Chuck Norris. He doesn't play American Ninja, he doesn't play Joe Armstrong. He's always, no matter what's the name of his character, he's Chuck Norris. and you know, he didn't want to, I don't know, some of you know also the other movie that I directed, Avenging Force, he also rejected. He rejected. He didn't want to do it because it was not Chuck Norris. It was a character that got... So Chuck Norris will not do it correctly because he would stay Chuck Norris. Bruce Lee, definitely. He could be American Ninja, no problem at all. and Bruce Lee passes American. You somehow you believe that he's American. Of course he's not. You know. I'm listening.
You said that Dudikoff was not a martial artist, and you can definitely say, tell that from a screening, but you kind of masked it very well. And he did some training. What was his training regimen to get him on a filming condition?
Okay, so the question is, how come we took Mike Norris, which is not a martial artist, to do a martial art movie? Okay, he fitted the part. Remember, I want to tell you, maybe remember is not the right way. I am not a martial artist, and I don't come from martial art tradition. I never saw a Hong Kong kung fu movie in my life before I met Sho Kasugi. He introduced me to this genre. I saw a lot of samurai movies. I love Akira Kurosawa, like many of you, and I love the samurai movies. So, and I love Hollywood movies, action movies, whatever. Take a sample, James Bond, any kind of Hollywood movies. So when I was asked to do Revenge of the Ninja, the first ninja movie that I directed, my decision in my brain also was immediately, I'm going to blend two genres together. I'm going to take this martial art, what Sho Kasugi taught me, the Hong Kong tradition, mesh it up together with James Bond action. Make a, you know, James Bond, Steve McQueen type of movies, Western type of movies mixed up with martial art. So to me personally, and the formula worked. We know it worked from Revenge of the Ninja, which was a successful movie for a low budget independent movie. So for me personally, it was not important that the actor would be a martial artist. Unlike some of my friends, which are Isaac Florentine, he is martial artist, he's a director, and he wants to be pure when it comes to martial art movie. I also have some conflict with Sho Kasugi because I was not a purist martial artist. So for me it was not important. I wanted a good actor, athletic, that will fit the part, and I believe that he will be able, they will be able to teach him. Now, the choreographer of this movie is a very famous martial artist, Mike Stone. Mike Stone was the karate champion of the United States for many years, but he became more famous because he was Elvis Presley's trainer. Now all of you know that when you see Elvis Presley, you see a lot of martial art moves. The way Elvis Presley used the guitar and the way he ends up every move is a martial art training by Mike Stone. Mike Stone was his trainer. And Mike Stone is magnificent. So Mike Stone was involved, and when we chose Michael Dudikoff, Mike Stone took him for 2 months to train him basic, to show him the basic moves, how do you move in martial art. And this is theatrical martial art. It's not, I believe this is not the correct martial art. It's more theatrical. It's big movement and martial art. Number one. Number two, Mike Stone brought Richard Norton. Richard Norton looks pretty much, is a good double for Michael Dudikoff. So, what we did, he trained him first. Michael Dudikoff was very athletic. He was a surfing boy from Southern California, athletic in basketball, volleyball. He was an athletic, very athletic kid. And whenever we needed in long shot, we used Richard Norton, of course. Sometimes Steve Lambert, our stunt coordinator, which is also a martial artist, doubled for Michael Dudikoff. but whenever we came to medium shot, close-ups, over the shoulder, we use Michael Dudikoff. And there is a technique. You show the actor 6, 7, 8 moves, not the entire fight, if there is a fight. So they show him, not me, the people, the professional people, they show him 6, 8 moves in one section. We film this one section from all the different angles, then they show him the next 8 moves, 10 moves, and we shoot. But, you know, Michael Dudikoff was getting better and better every day because he had the talent, and he can pick it up. So that's the technique, and with the help of editing, sound, mixing long shot and close-ups, eventually cinema is an illusion. We create, in editing, we create an illusion. Because, you know, you don't see a fight. Nobody touches anybody. Nobody's punching really anybody. Nobody puts a sword in anybody's body. But if you're a good team of photographer, cinematographer, director, and editor, you know how to create the cinematic illusion that eventually you sit in the audience, or all of us, or including me, and we want to believe that it's real, and we believe if it's well made. If it's not well made, you see the bluff. I mean, answer.
Yeah, hey, American Ninja, it's a masterpiece, a wonderful, wonderful picture. But like you said before the screening, it's like kind of tame compared to, let's say, like compared to Revenge of the Ninja, or compared to Avenging for, or something like American Samurai. Was it like a conscious decision to tone this American Ninja down, or was it just coincidence? Or
okay, the question is why this movie is less violent and more tamed down than other action movies, which are much more violent, even than I directed some movies. I don't know exactly the answer. This script, there was no script, there was only idea, American Ninja. The idea was the head of the company, Menachem Golan, said, let's make American Ninja, and that's it. After this, he was not involved anymore. It was a group of four people, 2 producers, Gideon Amir, Avi Kleinberger, the writer, Paul Demilke. Paul Demilke has a military background and martial art background, the writer, and myself. And we started to work on the script. There was nothing, there was zero, no idea, it was a dream. So first, what was the character? We decided, so we wanted this James Dean-ish character with what we say in America, chip on his shoulder. He has a dark background, and he's bitter about the world. He has some bitterness about the world, and he's a loner. He doesn't want to be involved in society, and he's a reluctant hero. He doesn't want to get in the action. He must be drawn into the action. That's we knew from the beginning. And as the script evolved, also the love story started to evolve between Judy Aronson and so those elements together, that we are in a military base, that we have this nice guy, clean-shaved Michael Dudikoff, and the little love story, that at some point I do believe that part of the success of American Ninja is because of this love story in the movie. It's a nice, naive love story, and more element became more naive and less violent. Now also remember, not everything that we shot is in the movie. The rule in canon was every movie was 92, 95 minutes, no more than 90. When we finished this editing, we had like 110 minutes. So maybe there were other violent scenes that I don't remember that are out of this. But the character of the actor, the hero, the character of the story, the buddy-buddy relationship, tamed down and made this movie more a naive movie, more a pleasant movie. And maybe this is the secret of the success of the movie. Maybe it is, that it's not so violent, that young kids could have seen it together, that a father and his son could come and see the movie together. And I heard that at the time, and I meet many also young ladies that went to see the movie even when it came out. And even today, I get reactions, even young audience that today that see the movie, either internet or DVD, men and women, and maybe this is the secret to the success. But you're right, it is much lighter movie, and it's even in a way, I would say, if I was an audience, if I was not a director, there is this feeling that the violence is not real. It's, you know, that you have this feeling that somebody gets sword in his chest and he falls down dead, but oh, after the filming he stands up again. He's not really dead. So it's not like American Sniper. When I saw the movie American Sniper, the violence was real. The realism was so strong. Every violent occurrence that happened there was so real. And this is not, this is kind of a comic book. You know that it's, okay, it's not really, let's make believe, but when it's over, it's over. And, nothing bad really happened.
More questions?
How about designing all the weird weapons, the small things, the laser and all that? Did you come up with that?
All the weapon, you know, the people who were involved in this movie, the two main martial artists in this movie is Mike Stone and Tadashi Yamashita, the Black Star Ninja. Tadashi is very famous. He worked with the Octagon in many movies in Japan, and he's an expert. And of course Mike Stone, and Mike Stone was a good friend with the Sho Kasugi. So I was introduced to all this weapon by Sho Kasugi. Sho Kasugi was the expert on the ninjutsu subject, and at the time when we made Revenge of the Ninja, he recommended to me all kind of books, and I read all books about ninjutsu and the history of ninjutsu and all the weapon. Now remember, we are a little bit, what we are doing in those movies is a little bit crazy, because the ninja character, the ninja warrior, the ninjutsu, it's all negative. It's the antithesis of samurai. Samurai is all about honor and being straight and fighting with honor. Ninja in the traditional Japan is all about negative. It's dirty fighters who fight from the back and throw all kind of weapon. So all of this idea that there are good ninja and bad ninja, it's really not goes with the real tradition of Japan. But and the weapon, I believe, I'm not an expert, but some of the weapon are really Chinese weapon, not all of them, those size with the two prongs, it's really a Chinese weapon, it's not a Japanese weapon. So it's a mixture of whatever Sho Kasugi invented for the cinema. Sho Kasugi had a good flair for cinema, not only for martial art. Of course, he's a black belt, a 10-degree black belt, but he had a good flair for cinema. He understood that you have to exaggerate for cinema. And it all comes from the Hong Kong tradition of martial art movie making. They would do anything in Hong Kong. So probably we collected all the weapons that came to mind by Mike Stone, by Tadashi Yamashita, and we just incorporated it to. But they are very, very cinematic. They are very visual. You know, all those different the shuriken, star, and the chains and all the different swords. They look good on the screen. They look very good on the screen. And when you put good sound effect, they even sound good.
When I was a kid and I was watching this movie and also Missing in Action, I always sometimes mix it up the truck chase scene in the pier, just because of the music was so similar and the scene was quite similar. And so my question is that, were you conscious that during that era that there was a bunch of movies that was this type of a thing where scenes and even the characters, they were touching sort of the same themes and topics in the audience? Or was it sort of a more of a thing that just happened?
I'll give you a theory. I don't know 100%. When we are talking about genre movies of the 80s and the 90s, they were all fueled by what was at the time what was called the home video market. There was in the beginning when the VHS cassette came out and the other cassette, you know, the Sony cassette came out, and all the stores, if you remember, I don't know how it was in Finland, the rental stores in America, in every corner there is a rental store. By the way, I was just in Poland last year in a festival. All of this was underground. It was not allowed. Those movies were not allowed to play in the 80s in Poland. So they had underground network of renting cassettes.
Yes.
Anyway, the studios, the big studios, did not pay attention to this new market, to this emerging market. But small companies, they were not so small, Canon Film, Corelco, other companies, they paid attention. They understood that there is good money in this market. And they started to make a lot of movies, like you said. The movies came out from different companies, not only from Canon, and they hit the same market, and probably they started to imitate and copy each other, I guess, because so many movies came out, all the Chuck Norris, all the Charles Bronson movies, from all the different companies, the beginning, the first early movies of Charles Bronson. Then Van Damme joined into this group, and so probably it was the same market, it was the same group of buyers, and the companies started to imitate each other because they said, okay, we're selling this type of thing. So the same chase scene, the same crossing between the building, the same fight. This market eventually, I'm just telling you guys, really a little bit out of your question, this market came to an end at the end of the 1990s. Because the studios suddenly, like it always happened, the big companies don't suddenly pay attention what the small companies are doing, and the big companies, the studios, the 6, 7 studios who were making A movie, they say, wait a second, there is good money in this market, in the VHS and DVDs, why are we not making it? And they started to make the same low-budget movies, but with 40 million budget, 50 million, 60 million, and it went up and up. You know, today it's $200 million, those kind of movies. So they pushed those small companies out of the market. Because once they started to make the same type of movies with big money, like True Lies, for instance, I'm giving an example. True Lies is the same kind of movie, but with big budget. 16 weeks of shooting and tremendous visual effects and everything. So those companies were pushed aside, and also the economics of selling movies in general, not only because of this, selling movies in general changed. The end of the 90s, the beginning of the 2000s, and this type of markets, the genre movies of what we call today the independent genre movies, low budget or B movies of the 80s and 90s, kind of disappeared. Today, there is a low-budget action market, but those are really, really low-budget action movies that I don't consider. We had a formula that, at least in our movie, in the movies I directed, there was always 45 minutes of action on the screen, out of 90 minutes. And today, with the very small movies, they cannot push 45 minutes into a movie if they don't have the money to do it. The action costs money. To do action costs money. So either we see the big mega movies, action today, or so-called action movies which are not really, they don't have enough action. So this is a little bit history about what happened to those movies of the 80s and the 90s.
Hey, I have one more question for you. Okay, probably everybody around here knows Rennie Harlin, who has some roots in Finland. And if I have understood right, you were born in Poland, right?
I was born in Poland. I did not grow up in Poland, but I was born in Poland.
Did you ever hide anything Polish in the movies?
No, not Polish. Let me tell you, not Polish at all. My parents left Poland when they saw the rise of communism. They escaped from Poland. They didn't want to stay in a communist country, and we arrived. I arrived in Jerusalem when I was 6 months old. So, of course, I have no memory at all. My memory is Israeli memory, right? But I was asked this question that you are asking about Israeli culture, not about Polish culture. Anything Israeli in my movies. Now, what is interesting, in the 50s, Israel was what we call melting pot. Was a country of people coming from all over the world. You know, Jews came from all over the world. So we had Eastern European, mainly, you know, a lot of Russian, but in the other hand, in the same neighborhood that I live, so in one hand we had people who came from Russia, but in this side I had people who came from Morocco, and Arab Jews, and we had people who came from Turkey, and people who came from Spain, and there was, so yes, as a kid you grow up in a culture which is tolerant to each other. You're open to, you understand that different cultures and different people and talking different languages, they can live together and everything everything can work and can be fine. So the question that somebody asked me once, similar to your question, do you think that this growing up in this atmosphere reflects in the movies that you directed, that I directed? My answer is, number one, a director in a movie is the storyteller. There are many people working in a movie. It's not a work of the director only, of course. There are many people, cinematographer, art department, stunt, action department, many influences. But every one of those departments are busy only with this one aspect, what they are doing. There is only one man who his job is to always keep in his mind the story, the general story, everything together. And this is the director. And when the movie is over, everybody goes. Only the director stays with the movie and has to go to the editing and then has to go to the sound mixing to finish the movie. Now, the director makes decision all day long because problems are coming. Should we use red or green? Do you want this gun or you want this gun? Million questions are coming to the director during the day of working, especially in big action movie with many extras. So there is no way that his subconscious, subculture will not reflect in the movie, even if he's not trying. So I cannot say that I'm sitting there and I'm trying to say, oh yeah, let me put inside also something about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But maybe it's there even if I don't want to, because it comes from my subconscious into the movie. Here and there, little things. So if you take the same script, American Ninja, and you give it to Joe Zito to direct, another movie will come out. Even if he follows every word in the script exactly like I did, but another movie will come out. And if you give it to Albert Payun, another movie will come out. So there is influence of the director on the movie if you want it and if you don't want it, because it's part of the culture, it's part of what I am. If a director who has more respect or well, I have respect for martial art, I don't know, but more tradition of martial art into him, another movie would come. But if you took me and I was influenced by a lot of Westerns movies when I was a kid, a lot of crime, American crime movies influenced me. That's why what we see on the screen today. So, okay, back to your question, no Polish, but maybe growing up in Israel, a country with a deep historical tradition, with the melting pot atmosphere, maybe it reflects on these movies. I don't know. Maybe that's why it is softer movie and, and kinder movie. Maybe it is.
Any more questions?
Let me tell you, because you don't have a question. When we made the movie, because the question that comes a lot with the reporters, did you guys, or myself as a director, anticipate such a success for this movie when you made the movie? And it's a good question, I get it a lot. And the answer is no. We were working in the Philippines, we are having good time. We saw, we see screening every day of the material that was shot the day before or 2 days before. And slowly, a day after day, the first week, the second week, we started to see that Michael Dudikoff has some special charisma in the screen, no question about it. And we start to see scenes between Michael Dudikoff and Steve James, and we started to feel that there is a good chemistry on the screen. Still, until you edit the movie, until you put music, you don't really know what kind of movie you have. As much as you want to, and I don't care how genius of a director you are, really, until you see your cut with the music, with the sound effect, you don't know what kind of movie you will get. But we started to get this feeling, and we were all of us, the crew, the producers, me, we had a good feeling. Okay, we have a good movie, maybe it will be like Revenge of the Ninja. It's a good movie feeling. But when the movie came out, I was already busy with Michael Dudikoff and Steve James making another movie, Avenging Force. We were there. When it came out and the success that it had, of course, it's not a studio movie, success for an independent, low-budget movie, we're talking about this, But still, the success was unbelievable, not only in North America, but all over the world, in every country. And as I told you, I heard even in Poland, in the underground way, it was a big success. We could not anticipate this kind of thing. Really, no. We felt that we are having a good fun. We got good time in the Philippines. We are making a movie. Okay, everything is nice, beautiful. But nobody thought that it's going to be what it is. And nobody in the wildest dream in the world would believe that 35 years later, this movie is 35 years old. And I saw it today. It looks, I mean, of course, the vehicle look old, and but the movie is still holding. And it's 35 years later. Really, it's a big surprise. And I hear from young people that they see the movie in the internet or whatever. I get emails, questions from young people, not only from your generation or our generation. So it's a big surprise. It was a tremendous surprise. And today, it's even, when you look at it, today it's even bigger surprise than back then. So this is to conclude the subject. I can tell you, to conclude, if you want, a little anecdote about this movie. A little anecdote, nice story about this movie, which I think is the most important thing about American Ninja, and it has nothing to do with cinema. When I was a young man, high school, I went to some classes of life saving in the water. You know, amateur lifeguard in a pool. It was three-day course, diving, etc. Okay. I always, since then, I had the phobia. My phobia was that I couldn't see children next to a pool. I was always, if I saw children, if I was in a pool and I saw children, I could not relax. I was always in tension. Something will happen. Something will happen. This was something that followed me all the years. In Manila, in the Philippines, we stayed in Manila, a beautiful hotel. It was the time of Marcos. The times were not very pleasant in the Philippines at the time. But we were staying in the most beautiful hotel in Manila, the Manila Hotel. And in the weekend, we spent on the swimming pool and the pool outside, and it's nice. Weather always hot in the Philippines. And I'm on a chair, and Michael is right next to me, right here, Michael Dudikoff. And I'm looking around, and suddenly I see a woman running on the side of the pool in a panic. I see a Chinese woman, she's in panic. And then I look in the water, I see a girl all the way down in the bottom, obviously drowning. And well, we make quick connection, that's her mother, but she doesn't know how to swim, and she's screaming. And the lifeguard, nobody sees this girl, nobody. Everybody was busy with something, also the lifeguard was looking around. So I just tapped Michael and I said, Michael, jump with me into the pool. Somebody's running. So both of us, Michael and we jumped in. Michael immediately understood. We dove all the way to the bottom. We brought the girl. She was already unconscious. She wasn't breathing anymore. We tried to resuscitate her, but we didn't know much about it. Luckily, there was a soldier, an American from the military bases. He was probably a medic. He pushed us aside. He knew what he was doing. She came back to life. The girl came back to life. She spit all the water, started to breathe. She was a Chinese visitor from Hong Kong. And she came back. To make this conclusion, Michael and me, we saved the girl from the pool. But when I think about it, it's a nice anecdote. And I think for some mystical reason that I don't know why, this was really the reason that we were there in the Philippines to make a movie, to save a girl from dying.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Sam, and thank you to Varustelleka, who made this all possible. Let's give another hand to them. And now let's enjoy some food and drinks.
Thank you.